Have you ever been scolded by a police officer while clutching a partially charred marshmallow? Nope, me neither. Until last October when two cops approached my campfire like I was pulling off a heist instead of toasting s'mores with my daughter. One officer rested his hand on his gun. The other beamed a flashlight right in my eyes. Their opening line was, "Sir, back away from the fire pit and keep your hands visible." That's when everything shifted. I'm Jake Mercer, rancher, dad, and now, apparently, an unintentional intruder on my own property. Or so the Oak Ridge HOA claimed when they dialed the cops on me for camping by the lake I'd fished in since childhood. The thing is, that lake belongs to me. Or so I believed. Let me backtrack a bit. I live just outside Hawthorne, Texas. A small town where the biggest dramas involve debates over barbecue recipes and whose dog left a mess on whose grass. I inherited this ranch from my grandfather after he passed away. He constructed it himself. Every fence, every pipe, every beam in the barn. Since my wife died 3 years ago, it's just been me and my daughter, Laya, keeping this place going through storms, droughts, and broken-down tractors. After months of grueling work and skipped family dinners, I promised Laya one thing a weekend, just us. No phones, no emails, just the two of us by the lake behind Northridge. That lake, Clearwater Pond, has been in our family for generations. My granddad called it the land's mirror, saying it revealed your true self. We loaded the truck with hot dogs, her favorite books, a worn-out tent from my college days, and drove through the back pasture, past ancient oaks, to the water's edge, just like I'd done countless times. That first night was flawless. Crisp air, stars so dense you could grab handfuls. Laya made me swear off ghost stories, then told one so creepy I barely slept. But just when I thought peace had settled in, flashlights cut through the dark. Behind them was Connie Mallister, Oak Ridge OA president, striding through the brush in her pearls like she was closing a real estate deal, acting like she owned the place. "You're breaking the rules," she barked. "What rules?" "This is my land," I replied, rising slowly. She had two HOA board members trailing her, clutching clipboards like they were ready to fine me for using unapproved marshmallow sticks. "This lake," Connie declared, "is under Oak Ridge Estates management. You're on private property." I glanced at Laya, then back at her. "No, ma'am," I said. "You're the one on my property." But that didn't matter. They'd already called the police. I walked to the tent and pulled out the laminated deed I always carried in my pack. Call it instinct. I handed it to the officers, pointing out the text 98 acres, full water rights, perimeter access, including Clearwater Pond, right where the HOA had built their gazebo and paved a trail. One cop raised an eyebrow. "You're saying they've been trespassing?" I nodded. "For over 10 years. But before the officers could respond, another car screeched up. Out stepped my Uncle Ray, someone I hadn't seen in years. That was a curveball I didn't see coming. Ray used to own the South Plot before selling part of it off long ago. Apparently, he told the HOA they could use the lake's edge. Here's the twist: he never had the rights to that land. He thought he was selling pasture, but he'd sold a heap of confusion instead. Now the HOA acted like they'd owned the lake since the 1800s, and I was the outsider. That night was a mess. HOA folks swarmed, filming me, yelling about regulations, even shouting at my daughter. One of them screamed, "We're getting this guy locked up tonight." Laya gripped my hand and whispered, "Daddy, I'm scared." That's when something in me changed. I wasn't just protecting land anymore. I was defending our heritage, our family, our dignity. I stared at the crowd and said, "I hope you enjoyed your HOA lake parties, because tomorrow, you'll all learn just how much you've been trespassing." Then came the real shock. The next morning, a man in a sharp navy suit appeared. "Peter Langley," he said, representing the HOA's legal team. He claimed they were filing an emergency injunction to block me from altering the lake. He handed me a document, stating they'd managed the lake for 13 years, holding fundraisers, installing lights, and thus had legal grounds to challenge my ownership. I nearly laughed, but he was dead serious. Then came the moment that still lingers. Laya tugged my sleeve and asked, "Daddy, will everything be okay?" I smiled and said, "Yes." But deep down I wasn't certain. So I called my friend Cal, a local land attorney, sharp as a tack and fierce when provoked. We headed to town, scouring county archives for every file, every zoning map, every faded document my granddad ever signed. That's when the truth started to unravel. The HOA wasn't just mistaken. They were orchestrating a calculated land grab. We uncovered emails, altered maps with fake dates, blueprints labeling the lake as community property before Oak Ridge even existed. They'd been collecting dues, hosting events, building structures, all without a shred of legal claim. One night, I saw Connie and her treasurer, Sharon, digging near the old trailhead, unearthing a long wooden box. From the shadows, I heard Sharon whisper, "We'll burn it tonight. If he files a quiet title, we're finished." They weren't just trespassing. They were destroying evidence. Then a new figure emerged, Kyle, Sharon's son, early 20s, always in the background. One night, he approached me, trembling, and handed me a flash drive. "This has it all," he said. "They claimed the lake was theirs, but I found Grandpa Walker's letter. They lied. The drive contained internal emails, HOA meeting notes, and the original land survey, proving the lake was never part of their parcel. My granddad's 2006 letter granted only emergency trail access, explicitly stating the HOA had no claim to the lake or shoreline. We took it to the sheriff. Meanwhile, the OA clubhouse mysteriously burned down, destroying most of their records. But not before the truth surfaced. Connie was arrested for tampering with evidence and filing false claims. Sharon took a plea deal and slipped away quietly. Kyle was protected as a whistleblower. But here's the wild part: Connie wasn't the real mastermind. The true power was a shell company, Claymore Holdings, part of a massive development group that built half the county's neighborhoods. They used the HOA to inflate property values, enforce strict rules, and, get this, promoted exclusive lakeside access to homes around my family's pond. All a lie. Then I discovered something else. Hidden under the old trail fence were water pipes siphoning from my lake to fill the HOA's pool and water their pristine lawns. No payment, no permission. Just theft. So I rerouted the pipes, cut off their access, and within 2 weeks, their subdivision turned brown. Their pool cracked from dehydration. Then came the apologies. Notes left on my gate, neighbors in tears, some bringing casseroles. One woman whispered, "We knew something was off, but we were scared." Now, Laya and I camp by the lake every month. Just us, the trees, and the quiet. I built a small shed by the dock, turning it into a learning hub where local kids study land boundaries, rights, and the power of a signature. I'm not angry anymore. I've learned something: kindness is valuable, but standing firm honors those who came before. Just when I thought it was over, I got an anonymous text. "You think Connie acted alone? The real owner's been watching you from the start. You've only scratched the surface. So I ask you, if your community tried to erase your family's legacy for a patch of water and a glossy brochure, would you let it go? Or would you fight tooth and nail to protect what's yours?" Share your story in the comments. I want to hear it. Because I've learned one thing: truth may bend, but if you hold your ground, it never breaks.